So we are up to the Mishnah Tez Zayin Amid Beis. Mekifin Shosha Chavalim Zelam Aylam Zeh. Zelam Aylam Zeh. You allowed to surround an area with three ropes, one on top of the other, meaning this is going in a horizontal direction. I guess like a boxing ring type of situation. But you can't have more, clearly, if you're just going to have ropes. So you're clearly working with lavud. So if you're going to work with lavud, you have to make sure that there's not more than 3 tfachim, or there's not 3 tfachim separating one rope from the other. Because then love is no longer going to apply, and if love doesn't apply, then you're stuck, because clearly there's more airspace than there is rope. Okay. Shir chavalim vuvain yeser al tefach. The shear of the rope, when you calculate it all out, okay, since you're going to be using 3 lovads of slightly less than 3, so that it's let's say 8.9 space, 8.8 space of tfachim of the airspace, because that's the lovad, the 3 lovads you're going to be using, and then you have to have the remaining part be solid, because if it's open in any which way, then you're going to tip over the scale. That means you have to have the shear of the thickness of the rope equal to 1 plus tefach, 1.1, 1.2, just to complete the calculation that when you reach 10 tfachim, because we know that the minimum height has to be 10 tfachim, so the top of the rope needs to be at least 10 tfachim off the ground. So when you do the math of open space to closed space, it's going to be slightly more than 1 and slightly less than 9. That's going to be the 2 things you're going to have to bring together to make this wrestling ring, this boxing ring happen properly. Okay, so shir chavalim v'vayin yeser al tefach kadei sheikol asar tfachim. Okay, so because you need, the magic number is 10 tfachim. You got to reach that height. If you don't have the height of 10 tfachim, then you've got nothing going for you, because you don't have enough of a height to be a valid wall. But if the top of the rope is 10, then you're basically good to go, as long as the thickness is slightly more than 1. Okay, bekonim. So now we're going away from the horizontal type of enclosure to the vertical type of closure. So you're allowed to surround an area with reeds, as long as there is not a distance between one reed and another 3 tfachim. Same type of deal. So this is the the wrought iron fences, whatever, all these different types of standing things that you stick into the ground. They're all good as long as, again, there's less than 3 tfachim connecting each one. So even though you're way more open space and closed space, it's going to be legit. Okay, divrei. Let's see here. Okay, b'shayara dibru. Now, this was only said when it comes to caravans. This allowance of using these types of walls was said by a caravan, but not by a regular abode. That's what it seems over here. For a regular individual, like you have a group, then we matted these makeshift kind of walls. But for a yachid, no, we didn't do that. Who's that? Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. B'shayara dibru. This is only said by caravans. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. V'chomer lo dibru b'shayara ela b'hova. Okay, no, we're not talking about caravans per se. We just happen to pick that which is common for, in these situations, these makeshift traveling situations. You need these things, but no. It's not only said by a caravan, it would be applied to any individual as well, that they can rely on these types of horizontal, vertical situations, and it would all be good. Okay, that's the Chacham. So we have 2 opinions here right now on this issue. Okay, Kol Mechitza. Now we have a 3rd opinion. Kol Mechitza Shena Shel Shes V'Shel Erev Eina Mechitza. Divrei Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda says it's got to be both horizontal and vertical. this shvach type of wall, which only goes in one direction, as far as he's concerned, is not valid b'chal. Okay, kol mechitza she'en shlashas v'shel erev ein mechitza de Rabbi Yosi by Yehuda. So this is Rabbi Yosi, the son of the Rabbi Yehuda we just spoke about. He says b'chal, I don't go for this altogether. This is too shvach and it doesn't work. V'cham omrim echad mishnei dvarim. The Chum say no, you don't need both Shesi and Erev. You need either the Shesi or the Eruvin, otherwise, and you're good to go. This is no limitations. Okay, so we have to see. The last opinion seems to sort of just be restating the early opinion. I guess we'll see later on in the Gemara. Okay, but for sure we have three clear differences in terms of is it limited to Shayara? Is it for everybody, or is it b'chal not acceptable unless you have it in both directions? So those are definitely three clear differences. Let's see the Rashi. The Kifin Gimel Chavolim, Ashayora Shechansu Bebikaka. It's going on this caravan that rested in the open space, and this is now they want to make they want to have a resting spot for Shabbos, so they need to surround themselves. Okay. What do you do? So Zelamailam is there. If you want to use ropes, that's fine. One above the other. Agabi Seidos. Saviv minatachton lekaka pochos megimel. Okay, they're on pegs around. Saviv minatachton lekarka pochos megimel. Okay, I guess the question is, you have to have the ropes that are going around hanging on something. You're not a magician to leave them hanging like that and balancing in air. So you have to have them connected to something. So I guess you have these, I guess the corners of the boxing ring holds the ropes. That's where the ropes are connected to. So saviv all around. So minatachton karka pochos megimel. Okay, so from the bottom rope to the ground has got to be less than 3 tefachim. As we said, you got to have lavud, because once you get 3 tefachim, you've lost the operation here. The kuloi I made, okay, and it's like it's all surrounded. So basically, even though a lot of airspace with lavud, it's like it's all connected. The klavud dummy, and from there to the middle one is going to be you have a bottom rope, which is less than 3. You have a middle rope, shisha. So now you have 6 standing, less than 2 mashus, b'shnei avirim, okay, in the 2 open areas. And then you have from the middle rope to the top rope, less than 3. So basically what you have is, like we just said before, basically just about 9 tefachim, less a couple of mashus for the lovuds that you need to use, and lavud is slightly less than 3. So it's basically figure 2.9 and then 2.9. What? So the Mishnah says the thickness of the ropes have to be a tefach plus. Right. Okay, so it's 8 let's say 8.9 tefachim and 1.1 tefach. Just to do the math properly, whatever. It's just
that's how you should keep a minimum of 10.
Right. That's what the Mishnah says. That's exactly what Rashi is explaining here.
So is this where they get that rope thing for the sukkah?
Well,
you have a canvas sukkah, a lot of people say put 3 ropes around it on the bottom.
If you have canvas, then those are your walls. The ropes are just
hold by the canvas. So they say if you put you see these sukkahs in New York that are canvas, and then they have these ropes around on the bottom.
I imagine the ropes is holding down the canvas. I mean, technically, could you do it like that by a sukkah? You could. You want to use lavud for your walls. You could. It's not. The halacha is not thrilled about it, but you definitely could do it. Okay, so Harei b'shleisha avir and tisha. So at the end of the day, when you calculate the middle one to the top, you end up with 9 tfachim of wall, less 3 mashahus. So figure some 8.8, 8.9 type of situation, and you're good. Kedei sheyukol hakol asar tefachim. You need the height to be 10. So you have 1.1 of total thickness of rope. Then you are good with the other minus, 9 minus something. Makif mekanim. You can also surround yourself with reeds. Neutzim v'aydim zuhi mechitza shel shasi. This is the mechitza that's stuck into the ground. The poles are stuck into the ground, and that's your shasi. Avol shechavalim have a mechitza shel erev, but the ropes are mechitza of the horizontal, right? So we know shasi is the vertical, erev is the horizontal, and that's the way it is. Now, Rabbi Yehuda's position is this was only said when it comes to caravans. We were makel to require only one. Shesi going kanim, erev going chavalim. Okay, again he repeats that the shesi is the reeds, the erev is the ropes. But I agree to a certain degree with Rabbi Yosef bar Yehuda that when it comes to a regular yochid, I don't like this chap-plop situation. This is what you call real shvach stuff. And I'm going to require shesi ve'erev, a real wall that goes in a both horizontal and vertical fashion. Kol mechitza she'ena Rav Yosi polag aleh davur. So Rav Yosef bar Yehuda argues with his father, who says that it is valid for a caravan. And he argues with him that even for a caravan, as much as we'd like to be lenient, we're not going to go this far to allow just one directional wall. You need two directions, both north, south, and east, west. Echad mishnei dvarim, and the Chacham have the last word in the Mishnah, and they say no, o shesi, o erev. Any one of these two ways, okay, these two directions is fine. Either the shesi or the erev, and we're good. Okay, so that takes care of the Mishnah. Now let's dive into these opinions here. So Amar Rav Nuna, Amar Rav. So we start with the Shaila. So Rav Nuna says in the name of Rav, Hari Amru, Omed Rubala Paris B'Shesi Ava Omed. We've said clearly that when you are using the vertical walls, and you have more wall than airspace, it's fine. Because at the end of the day, even though there's a lot of airspace, and it's, yes, it's bothersome to have so much airspace, but at the end of the day, if it's 51-49, that's good. You have 51 wall, 49 opening. At the end of the day, that's valid. As much as we might not like it, but it's a halachically valid wall. But for some reason, in the name, Rav Nuna's statement of Rav is now questioning whether this is true, even at the horizontal level. So by Rav Nuna, Be'erev Mai. Rav Nuna wants to know, with the Erev, what's the story? Do you say the same thing in the horizontal direction? Because, again, when you're dealing with things that are vertical, it's clearly the feeling of being enclosed and boxing things out is much more there than on the horizontal level. Horizontal just has this, more shvacha impression of not really being enclosed. So what's the story there? Are we going to allow a situation of more open space, of more wall than open space? Or are we gonna have a higher standard for the walls of horizontal that when it comes to this stuff, it's not going to be good enough. 51-49 is not going to be good enough. What is good enough? Well, I guess we'll have to see. I mean, that's not so clear. What are we requiring? But maybe we're not going to let 51-49 work like it works in every other situation in Shas, and maybe not with horizontal rope walls. That's or just horizontal walls. So you get the ropes per se. Anything along those lines. So what's the story? Are we going to allow oimed merubal aparitz the erev? So Amar Abaye Toshma, Abaye says, come in here and I'll prove to you to resolve your shaila. I'll prove to you what the halach is. So come in here. Shir chavalim vuvayin yesal tefach shir kol asar tefachim. Right? So we just finished learning in the Mishnah that you need the shear of the rope to be slightly more than a tefach in order to reach the 10 tefachim threshold, which is a minimum for a wall. Now here we get some fancy calculations. Now if you hold that you can have more open space by horizontal things than closed space, to say it again, I'll scratch that. If it's true that you hold more closure will be valid as long as it's at least 5149 closed space is valid by horizontal, right? We're not going to allow more open space and closed space. We're talking about more closed space and open space, but Lamaisa, it's not significantly closed. It's shvach. It's 55-45, 60-40, whatever it might be, but. V'isa, if you're right that type of wall will be valid, then it seems like the Mishnah is requiring an overkill in the requirements of this this boxing ring over here. Why? Why do you need a tefach and a mashu? You should be able to get by with less than a tefach and a mashu if your assumption in your shaila, right? You have two sides, but if one of the sides that you're obviously positing over here is that it does work. Well, if it does work, so basically Abai is proving it doesn't work. Why? Because if indeed it did work, you wouldn't need a tefach and a mashu of thickness of rope. Why not? Let's go through it. Tefach. Well, if you were right that it's valid, why would you need more than a tefach? Le'evet pachos mishosha. The chevel mashu. So just do this. Okay, now picture the boxing ring. So go up less than 3 tefachim, and you have a very little rope, very thin, mamish, a thin, tiny rope, mashu. Okay, so is that connected to the ground? It's less than 3 tefachim. So now, this is where it's really going to get interesting. That's not called open space, because Lavud is no longer called open space. Lavud is called closed space. So from the slightly less than 3 to the ground is now enclosed. Let's keep going. Okay, and all you so far use is a mashu of thickness of rope to create that enclosure of 3 tefachim.
Where you can see it or not?
No, Lavud is closed even though you can see right through. That's clearly what we're learning.
That rope, that little. That's like to use fishing line. You're not gonna.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think it matters. Yeah, whether it means the rope can see through. No, it doesn't matter. Right? So he says again one more time. Maybe it matters in shul, but in that not as a regular wall doesn't matter. When you're talking about maybe davening, then that's a whole other discussion. Why we have mechitzas in shuls. Okay, the Isa one more time. Lamali Yisrael tefach. Okay, if you're right, why would you need more than a tefach? Le'avid pachos mishosha v'chevel mashu upachos mishosha v'chevel mashu. And again, another less than 3 with another very very thin rope. So all you got so far is 2 mashus, and you're enclosed. You're basically enclosed 6 because you got 2 lovids going. So that's mamish. You got 6 enclosure. Upachos mi'arba. V'chevel mashu, and less than 4, and a little tiny rope. So you have an airspace now of less than 4. In your less than 4 airspace, you cannot use lavud, but who cares? Because at the end of the day, what's your closure versus opening ratio? What's your wall versus non-wall ratio? 6-4. So
you have more closed than open.
You have more closed than open. Even though you can see, even though it's all open. So must be right that the 6 that your shaila is resolved by the fact that if you need a tefach and a mashu of thickness of the rope, that indicates to us that we're not using the 60-40 wall versus opening concept. Why not? Why would you use that? Why does a Mishnah require a thickness of a tefach and a mashu of rope? Must be because when it comes to horizontal situations like this, you don't go with 60-40. You got to go better, and it's got to be totally enclosed. It's got to be I love it all the way through. Okay, so really? Well, if it's Hizbra, are you sure? Are you sure that really works out? So let's see. So basically, because right now all we know is we have two lavuds and a 4. Right, that's what we're doing here. We're creating a boxing ring with the ropes being less than 3 tefachim apart in 2 of the areas, and having a 4 tefach gap in another area, less than a mashu. So let's see. V'tizbra hay pachos mi'arba hechi mukimla. Let's try to figure out Abai if your proof is a proof, because let's figure out where do you want to put this 4. Okay, you got 3 options. Right, because you got 3 gaps, as you see, okay, on 231, you've got basically 3 options, and now we're going to go through them. If you want to put in, what do you want to put the 4? If you want to put the 4 in the bottom, like you're looking at a 230, 231, That's not going to work. The Mishnah could not have given you this scenario, because this scenario, by being 4 tvachim from the bottom, we already learned that if the goat could get underneath it, it's not a valid wall. Any wall that's hanging like that, which allows animals to get underneath the bottom of the wall, that's not a valid wall. It's more than 3 tefachim, and that's no good. So for sure, the Mishnah could not have gone that route. If you want to put the 4 as it's shown in 232, that the 4 is on top, also can't work. Okay, because that last string, the olive string, is surrounded by 2 gaps. One goes pretty much up to Shemayim, and that's a lot of space. And the other one is 4 tefachim. Okay, both sides of you are completely superior in terms of its space, more greater than the little tiny rope you've got going across there. So that's going to get devoured and nullified without any problem. We did that. Have the mechisa shagdim bokenbo. What?
Even though it's 6 dead.
Yeah, no, they're right, because you have a right to look at focus on that particular rope being surrounded by 2 major gaps of space, each one bigger than the mashu of the rope. That rope now becomes nullified. And again, if you can use lovud, you'd be right.
Well, you have to lower it to use lovud.
Yeah, right. But we're not. You can't, because the 4's got to go somewhere. That was Abai's whole point. So that's what the Gemara is saying. So if you put the 4 on top, it's going to be nullified. Let's read it inside. With the haigisa, the airspace of this side and that side, uvatale will come and nullify the rope, and it's like the rope is not there. If the rope is not there, then you don't have a boxing ring to get going, and the match cannot begin. Okay.
So is that considered a makom kashuv if it's...
No, well, whatever you want to call it, it might be makom chashuv inside the boxing ring, it might be makom, but it's a makom chashuv without any walls. You know what I mean? So, you've got a domain, but your domain it's ultimately going to be a carmelist because it's not surrounded. So you wanted to make it a Rishus Yachid, or maybe even a Rishus Harab, depending on where you are. But, right, once you are not validating that top rope, you don't have anything to go on. So you're stuck. So far, Abai's 0 for 2 in terms of the possibility, right? Abai's whole possibility was to prove, of course, it doesn't work, because if it did work, you can do X. Well, X doesn't seem to be matching up. X on the bottom doesn't work, the 4 on the bottom doesn't work, the 4 on top doesn't work. We've got only one option left. If you put in the middle, which let me guess will be 233, okay, there it is. If you put in the middle, and that's number 233 of Pure Shchai, Sefer Pure Shchai, okay, then what's wrong with that? That looks good. Right, so you got the closure on top because you got loved. You got the closure on the bottom, you got loved. You got the big 4 in the middle, no loved. So perfect. It's 60-40. It closed. Why wouldn't that work? What's the problem with this diagram, and why wouldn't this prove? Why wouldn't this be a valid proof to Abaye that this is Abaye's proof. This would be valid argument that Abaye is postulating that you don't go 60-40 when it comes to horizontal shvacha walls. So let's see. The only problem is you want to nullify the 4, and this is getting back to the old figure we had weeks ago. That remember, if you want to nullify the middle by having more closure than opening, not by me being as great as you or greater on any one side, but me having to combine both sides to outdo you, right? Because the 4 is greater than any one of the other 2 sides. 4 is greater than 3, and 4 is greater than the other 3. So the only way you're going to beat me is you take your 3 and your 3, you combine them to make 4. Who says that's so simple? Remember, we had a whole big tumult way back then. We might have blocked it out because of its confusion. But if we jar our memory, we'll remember that whole issue of whether you can combine the 2 3s to outdo the 4 is not such a pashut inyan. It's a whole big machlokes. Maybe if you want to do it, it's fine. But each individual unit needs to be as strong or as big. I should say as big or as wide as the open airspace if you want it to work. So let's read it one more time. So what you have there is more closure than opening. Only from 2 sides. Your ability to nullify the 4 is only coming because of your addition, your adding ability. Shmas mina, are we going to be able to prove from here? Are you ready to commit to that position, which is not a universally held position? So bottom line is Abaye, unless you want to commit to that, you don't have a proof. Because your whole mahalach here is not going to work due to the nature of what you're trying to accomplish here. It's not feasible. So of course we had to give you the eitzah of a tefach and a mashu and go with 3 lovads, because not going with 3 lovads does not work in this situation. So let's see here. He says, okay, let's just catch up on the Rashi here for a minute. Okay, he says, Hari Amru Oimed Murba ala parts which they have Mishesi have the Oimed. So it's a clear fact that when you have the vertical poles and you have vertical walls and you want to use more closure than opening, that's fine. That's fine. 5149 by vertical work. Avagav the Ikka Pirtzis, even though there are many openings, it's Tanleil, like we said earlier. Well, you Pirtzis Yiseris al Binyan, and there's no more, as like we said, as long as there's no more openings than there are structure, Vistam Klei Behemish Shel Shesihu. Like, and what we learned earlier of those animal, remember those animal coverings, those saddles and the cushions, all that stuff. He said that's pretty much vertical. Sho'im al gabi karka, because it stands on the ground, then you stand it up. So all that stuff is basically vertical stuff. So I know that the Mishnah already told me, based on that whole situation there, about Omeid Mruba ala Paretz, right? All that stuff that we discussed earlier is by the vertical. But the Eruv Mai, Mechavolim, the Masisa, Lekla Melaf, Hechshira, right? You can't learn that it's kosher from the Mishnah, because our Mishnah chooses the Asam Kulay Amadu, the Klavadami. It's all completely enclosed because it's all loved. So that's not going to tell me. So now, therefore, I have a Shaila. What's the story about the issue of Eruv? So Levid Avir Echad Pachas B'Shosha V'Cheva Mashu. Abaye says, I'll prove to you that it does not work by horizontal stuff, because if it did, all you got to do is take airspace less than 3 and a little bit of rope. V'chein Sheni. Okay, and again, one more lavud Devle Shisha, which will give you 6. Shisha Oimed, Va'aver Ashlishi Pochos Mi'arba, and the third opening is less than 4. V'chevel Mashu, and again a little bit of a tiny rope. Umiskasher Pirtzas Hadal B'Oimid Al Shisha, and let the opening of 4 be valid based on the nullification of the 6, and let the 6 beat the 4, and you're good. So the Gemara says, "Well, slow down. This is not so easy, Abaye. You seem like you have a simple raya, but your simple raya is not so simple at all. Where do you want to put the 4? If you put it on the bottom, even though you might have a whole wall of 10 tfachim, you can have total space of 10 tfachim, but if you leave it 3 tfachim off the ground where a goat can get through, that's it. You've blown it. That's not a valid wall. You make your sukkah that way, you don't have a kosher sukkah. Even though you have a standing 10 tefach wall above the 3 tefachim, and it's complete, it's full, it's filled in. We already established before that a hanging mechitza is not going to work. So that's not a mahalach. Eloi, you want to put it on top, Avir Ashishi Shuelyon on the third one, Asyavir de Menachevel Ulukia, the airspace from the rope until the sky, with the high gisa shemenu lemsoy, and also the airspace from the from that top rope to the middle rope. So you're surrounded by a lot of air. Okay, on both sides, a lot more. Each air space is a lot more than the tiny rope that's creating the top of your wall. Okay, since it's more than 3, because if it was love, it'd be one thing. Love is like it's enclosed, but this is not love. That should nullify the rope. All you have are the 6 tefachim of the 2 loved. You'd have nothing on top, and you're done. If you want to put the 4 tefach gap in the middle, the only time you're going to be able to do it is if you hold 3 plus 3 can outdo the 4, which is not so simple, because there are opinions who say no. If the middle gap is bigger than any of the other 2 surrounding gaps, that's not going to be able to be nullified, and therefore you cannot win. So Abaya, you don't seem to, unless you want to commit. Ella, okay, he says Ella kivan de lo mishkachasla, since you can't find it. Ella kivan de lo mishkachas of Ramnuna hachi kamoile. Yes, this is sort of just hitting me. So in other words, so now we're rejecting the shaila. Why rejecting the shaila? In other words, somehow we don't seem to buy, even though it was Abayi's answer. It was Abayi want to resolve the shaila, and we rejected Abayi's resolution, attempted resolution of the shaila. That it must be that it does not work. Okay, but so for some reason we're now restating the shaila. I'm just wondering, why do we have to restate the shaila? What's wrong? Just because we shrugged up Abayi and we said your mahalach doesn't work. Why do we have to restate the shaila? I guess in other words, because bottom line, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why we have to redo the shaila now. Yes, you knocked out Abaye. What's the vav? Yeah, I'm not sure. Right, you hear my problem? In other words, right now, he asked a shaila. Does Eruv, by Eruv, does it work more? So what are we assuming for sure it doesn't? I mean, why are you for sure that it does work or it doesn't work? I guess, in other words, all Abaye did was attempt to prove it, and he failed in his attempt because the Mishnah can't work with a gap of 4. But maybe in other cases where it's not like this, I mean, I guess there's no other. I'm sure you can have other cases. You can have other cases of walls where lava doesn't work, but you want to use more parrots. You want to use more amid ala parrots. Okay, I'm not sure. I have to see why the Gemara fell off of the shaila. But bottom line is we're falling off the shaila, and we are restating the shaila. Okay, we're restating the shaila. Ella Rav Hamnuna hachi kami boile. Right, so Rav Hamnuna asked it this way. Yeah, I don't know if he helps us. No, he doesn't.
He may help us, but I don't understand the help.
Okay, you don't understand the help. Okay, fine. Is it? It's a big one or a short line?
No, I there might be help somewhere in there.
Okay, fine.
I'm not getting it.
I got you. Okay, fine. So we'll have to just maybe we'll try to come back to this tomorrow, and I'll try to work on this. So we're redoing the shaila now, and we're saying this is what the shaila was. Going to Isi Machzeles Zayin. Let's say you brought a mat. Here's my shaila. Okay, so forget the first shaila, even though we didn't resolve it. And this is a new shaila. You brought a mat that is zayin mashu, a mat that is 7. Okay, there you have it. It's 7 and a mashu of a mat. Okay, but you decide you're taking a scissor and you're going to play games with this mat. Right. So that was originally the mat. Look at that mat and basically, what's it? 4 and 3. Yeah. Is that a 4? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Okay, right, so that's 234 in Pirish Chai. So the mat ends basically at the 7, right? So now you decided, go ahead, now we're going to read it inside, keep your eye on both the Gemara and the diagram at the same time, see if you can manage that. Okay, so what happened? V'chokak b'gimel. And you decide to cut out, don't ask me why, you cut out 3, an airspace of 3 from that mat. Okay, leaving you 4 on top, a gap of 3 in the middle, and leaving you a little schmitzik on the bottom, right? Because it was 7 in a mashu. So that little mashu is that little closed space. I guess that's the aleph, right? You see the aleph? Okay, that's that little schmitzik under the 3. And the question is, okay, let's keep reading. V'shavak bu dalid umashu, and you left 4 in a mashu available, 4 on top and a mashu on the bottom. Vukme pochas megimel, and you put that little mashu slightly less than 3 off the ground. So that little bays, the bays is less than 3. Okay, so that's the case that Rav Hamnuna asked about. Okay, and so what's the shaila? Let's do Rashi. So I mean, you look at it, you got lavud going down to the bottom. So you got 3 enclosure there, you got 4 enclosure there. That's 7. And 7 to 3, you got no lavud on the 3, but l'chayra, that should be, right, 7 to 3 wins. So is this the same shaila just being revisited slightly differently? I mean, what exactly is this issue of the matzalo? Sounds like it's the same type of shaila. It's also vertical, horizontal in nature, right? These These things are horizontal; they're not vertical. Let's see Rashi. Ella kivel mishkach v'shavah budalid. You left the matting of 4 shleimin l'mayla umashu l'mata. You left a little a 4 solid matting on top, a little mashu on the bottom of the gap of 3. Vukmelach gisa the mashu pachos megimon. This little mashu was placed less than 3 tefachim off the ground. Samach lekaka, it's close to the ground. Dahashavali oimed murubala parts murachachas. Okay, so now you have. From one side, you have more closure than opening. Okay, I guess it's really the same shaila. I guess maybe that's what he meant. He's not really changing the shaila. He's giving you a scenario where there are no problems with the shaila. I guess that's really what we did. The shaila was not asked in the case of the boxing ring, because there's really no scenario in that type of scenario. But here, when you have 4 solid and a mashu in the way it was structured, nothing of the earlier issues are going to be at play in this case. And that's what Rashi is about to say now. And so that really sort of takes care of our problem. He's not restating the shaila, he's only refocusing it in the case where it's relevant. Okay, that's really what the Gemara meant. So let's see here one more time. So in the middle of Rashi, so 1 second. Number 1, you have more closed space than open space. Murachachas. V'avira dahagisam udahagisanamileka. You also don't have any airspace bigger, right? Because what do you want to nullify? You want to nullify the mashuhu, it's closed. In other words, the bays look like it's closed. So I matched the 3, and I'm also outdoing the 3 with the 4. So there's no place that you're smaller, that the closure is smaller than the opening to get into that whole problem. Because the standing is greater than the avir. That's beneath it. So the 4 is bigger than the 3. The 3 is equal to the 3. So it's all good, right? So this is your shaila of whether or not, when can you use this type of a structure to validate a wall, even though it's horizontal in nature. Okay? Because in other words, what the Gemara basically did in ripping Abaye apart won't apply to this case. So that's the way to ask the shaila in a way that basically, you're not going to be able to knock me out. Or back to the Gemara. Okay, so it's still essentially the same shaila. Ravash, and that is, do horizontal walls allow for Aymed Murubal Aparats? Okay, and Ravash Amar, Ravash says, no, it wasn't about this at all, the shaila. The shaila was about something totally different. Mechitza Tuli Baile. The shaila was about hanging mechitzas. Let's just do that, Rashi. Mechitza Tuli Baile. Machzelas Asera Shigbiyam Karka Shlosha. You had a mat that was 10 tfachim in nature, but the only thing is you hung it 3 tfachim off the ground. Not less than 3 tfachim, but 3 tfachim or more off the ground.
Or less.
No, or more.
More.
Yeah, if it's less, then it'd be loved.
Right.
Right. So you hung it 3 tfachim or more off the ground.
So you don't want it to be.
No, if you use loved, then of course it's good. But if you can't use loved, maybe it's good anyway, because look at that. It's such a beautiful, nice, solid olive. Looks so nice. Okay, you got a lot of nice, beautiful 10 tfachim there. It's all good, and now you're putting it. So it's 3 tfachim off the ground. And yes, you can have a goat, but come on, look at how rock solid that is. So maybe does the solid wall nullify the opening underneath it? Since it's less than it, do you say maybe? No, so we sort of know the answer to the shaila already because we learned it, but at that time, I guess it was not so clear what the situation would be, to which the answer is, back to the Gemara, Remember that shaila we had some about 2 weeks ago about there's a mechitza teluya work in a churva when you have hanging walls. A Malay, and he answered back, a mechitza teluya materes el b'mayim. It only works by water. Kalu shekila chabamayim. It's one of the leniencies that the Rabbanan introduced when it comes to water, but on any other place it does not work. So that machzelos will not be good.